Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. Show number two. Man, hope you're all having a good day. It is still Monday, April 28th. Got a lot more to cover this afternoon. Thank you for being in here. If I could ask you to hit that thumbs up button and, excuse me, as well as share this out, tell a friend, email it, however you want to do it. We appreciate it. And, old Uncle Bill's here so we can get started. Let me jump in the chat really quick. Hunter, how are you? Trina in the house. Texas Bigfoot. Susan Spencer. Pixie's back. Let's see who else is down here. Micro Taz, waiting and working. Thank you for working, Micro Taz. Without you, there would be a lot of illegal aliens going homeless today. And what else do we got? KLM79. What's up? Let me get down to the bottom. Mom X Swift Chevy 72770. Old Uncle Bill. Haha's in the house. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Again, as I said earlier, we got a lot to talk about. We got foreigners doing articles of impeachment on President Trump. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the heck was it called? Operation Tidal Wave. More of our law enforcement partners working together. We're going to talk about one Democrat in California who's kind of going against all the rest when it comes to defending pedophiles and when it comes to sex trafficking, if you will, of 16, 17-year-olds. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But, of course, we got some people that were triggered. Let's see here. Let me pull this up. So Saquon Barkley from the Philadelphia Eagles was caught out golfing over the weekend with President Trump. Why? Because the Eagles are being hosted at the White House today. And if you remember about 6 weeks ago, the whole left was saying the Eagles team's not going to the White House. They're sticking it to President Trump, all the fake news. And then Eagles came out and said, no, we never said that. We are attending the White House. Well, Saquon Barkley was out, went golfing with them. And again, just like everybody on the left, just wants this man murdered. He's not allowed to be a free thinker. He's not allowed to sit or walk or golf with who he wants. He's a black man and he needs to stay in line with the Democrat Party. That's what I'm gathering when I look around at these tweets. The typical party of the KKK is now bashing Saquon Barkley because he went golfing with the president. And they're putting some of his old tweets up there when it had to do with BLM. And Saquon Barkley posted this. It says, laugh out loud. Some people really upset because I played golf and flew to the White House with the president. Maybe I just respect the office. Not a hard concept to understand. Just golfed with Obama not too long ago and look forward to finishing my round with Trump. Now you get out of my mention with all this politics and have an amazing day. It's just absolutely amazing how triggered these people are. Look at, again, another tweet right here. Showing up at Mar-a-Lago, flying with Trump, grinning like it's a Disney field trip. That's not respecting the office. That's playing yourself and getting used as propaganda. Tokens always getting spent. Do you see how triggered these people are? The average person, and we've seen this through the years, the average person loves hanging out with President Trump. He's a fun guy. He's fun to be around. And what an honor that is. I would love to spend a round of golf with the president. It's just absolutely epic that the left is losing their mind. But they are praising another black man that has fallen in line and that has worshiped the party of the KKK, which is Jalen Hurts. Look at Harry here, all excited. Jalen Hurts and other Eagle players will not be attending Trump's White House to celebrate their Super Bowl victory. Good for Jalen. He's a real leader in Philly. I hope you getting that applause from that white man right there, Jalen. Harry says you a real leader, because you can't think for yourself. That's really good, Jalen. Again, I can't stand the Eagles one way or another, but again, what an honor it is for the team that went there. And again, so if you go, you're a token, and if you don't go, you're a hero. That is Democrats and the divide they have caused in this country, folks. I want you to know that and know that's the truth. This is what Pam Bondi put up. It says Eagles at White House. Check out this picture here. You got all those folks up there meeting the president. We got a little more on this. Trump said a little something funny. Listen to this. Here he is talking about the running back, Saquon Barkley. Listen.
The season started off slow, but you soon caught fire with your great coach inspiring you and to your superstar running back who I met yesterday. And I want to tell you, he's a handsome guy, but I wouldn't want to tackle him. Saquon Barkley. Where's Saquon? He's good. I got to know him a little bit. I offered him a ride on Air Force One because I was coming down. And usually they say, no, I don't think so. He said, I'll take it, sir. And he loved it. We love being together. He's a great young guy.
So once again, the left, who wants the race war, who wants the racial divide, who's tried to make President Trump without any evidence look like a racist, a Nazi. I mean, you guys know what they've done to us. It's been laughable, but that's nothing compared to this. Talking about Trump talks about how he was at the Super Bowl and he watched along in person and listen to this. You gotta love this. Oh, come on, start. Nah, hold on. Let me reload this one. I hate when it does this. Let me reload this. Okay, here we go.
Watched in person. I was there along, I watched in person. I was there along with Taylor Swift. How did that work out? How did that one work out? The Eagles, which I was there, I watched in person.
Little jab at Taylor Swift. And
I was there along.
Talking about being there at the Super Bowl along with Taylor Swift. Maybe that she's the curse of the Chiefs this year. I don't know. But it was just epic. Now, Trump announcing some new stuff, guys. Trump announcing some Saint Fan. I have Starlink. It has nothing to do with service. I'm getting about 900 per or whatever, 900 a second. It has nothing to, my Starlink's over here. I don't even use Starlink because Starlink's about 4 times slower than my home internet, and I love Starlink when you're out traveling. We've gotten service everywhere, but it has nothing to do. It has to do when you have 28 windows open and it takes your memory on your computer, because I've got all these things I show you is running in the background right now, more than what goes on most computers. Plus, I have my whole studio set up here. Check what Trump said here. We've been talking for quite a while about FEMA. How do you fix FEMA? We've seen that after Hurricane Helene, they skipped people's house that needed assistance because they had Trump flags or Trump yard signs. It was just a total disaster. You know, the left praises FEMA, but there would be a lot of dead people and a lot of hungry people that could have starved to death if it wasn't for, guess what? Not FEMA, for the local communities and the churches around there. We were down there on day 10. Remember, we were down there on day 10. Day 9 is when finally FEMA stepped up and started bringing things in there. But again, we know that the FEMA director's gone now. There's a lot of revamping. Whether we're going to keep FEMA or not, we'll figure that out. But President Trump says, I am proud to announce this formation of the FEMA Review Council, comprised of top experts in their field who are highly respected by their peers. It is my great honor to appoint to the council Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Governor Greg Abbott, Governor Glenn Youngkin, former Governor Phil Bryant, Michael Whatley, Mayor Jane Castro, Kevin Guthrie, W. Nim Kidd, Sheriff Rosie Cordero Stutz, Mark Cooper, Bob Fenton, and Evan Greenberg. I know that the new members will work hard to fix a terribly broken system and return power to the state emergency managers who will help make America safe again. And you notice this is in the same line. So what Trump understands is taking everything, like federal doesn't need to have their hands in everything. States have rights. Democrats want federal control because they want the bloating. They want, let's create this on the federal thing. Well, what does it do? Well, it does the same thing that these departments in the state does. It just oversees them. And it'll only be like, $700 million a year. Really good deal. Well, is it going to change anything? Well, it'll slow down the process. And that's what we're talking about here. Just like we talked about the Department of Education, that's going away. Now, the way he says this, and return power to state emergency managers. We double, and I just want to give you an example. I worked for a company, and my job, I was always very frugal with the spending in the department I managed, and they tasked me to open up a new complete entire department, a business of its own as part of the business. And I did that. And I remember being in a meeting with people who had probably 20 years more experience than me in some of this stuff. And they're like, well, you need a shipping and receiving department. I was like, well, no, we have a shipping to receiving department on hand. Do we want to double that for the minimal shipments we're going to be doing? I mean, you're going to have to hire an employee for shipping, an employee for receiving, probably someone to supervise. Just there's 3 people when we have a shipping and receiving department with like 7 employees, and they have plenty of time on their hands. And I remember fighting this. And that's kind of like how the federal government is, if you will. Let's just create this. Let's just create this. And Trump is doing what we need to do. Again, we have emergency managers in every state who know their state better than the federal government, who knows their communities better than the federal government, because that is their job. And I think this group will fix a terribly broken system, and it has been broken for a long time. Check this out. Trump signs a new executive order.
But there's a lot of communication problems between. And then the third executive order, which actually speaks to the heart of your question earlier about the Uber drivers, will be order directing the Department of Transportation to include English literacy tests for our truckers. This is a big problem in the trucking community that, unless you're in that community, you might not know. But there's a lot of communication problems between truckers on the road, with federal officials and local officials as well, which obviously is a public safety risk. So we're going to ensure that our truckers, who are the backbone of our economy, are all able to speak English. That's a very common sense policy in the United States of America. So the president will be signing that later this afternoon.
Epic executive order.
And then
let me get
the third executive order, which actually speaks to the heart of your question earlier about
to sign Trump to sign an executive order for drivers, truck drivers, those people that are on the roads, that are in our cities and everything, to be proficient in English to operate on U.S. roads. That shouldn't be truck drivers. That should be everybody. And especially those people that came here illegally 40 years ago, never got their citizenship, and have refused to learn our language. Well, it's time to do it. Again, I think Department of Motor Vehicles, the only people they should assist outside of English is people with disabilities. Bottom line, we don't need our Department of Motor Vehicles in 37 different languages. It's probably more than that now. But that's great news, and this is triggering the left too. Oh, he's a fascist. He wants the brown people to speak English. You gotta love this, guys. You gotta love this. The way people saying, check this out. Something else that
men
came
and
from
women.
the White House. Take a listen. Why? Come on, open up.
Same thing with men and women's sports. The president signed a very strong executive order, making it the policy of the United States federal government that there are only two sexes, male and female, and we are not going to tolerate biological men competing in sports or impeding in private spaces for women like myself or you. And we've seen states defy this federal order. You've seen the state of Maine, unfortunately, because of their liberal governor, who nobody in that state disagrees with. I will add, being from New England, I can attest to that. People are incredibly fed up with her trying to oppose this common sense message. You've seen young women who have had to go on television to plead with their governor, please stop letting men play against me in sports. We shouldn't live in a country where that even has to happen. The president deeply understands that. That's why he signed that EO. And when Maine decided not to follow it, the Department of Justice sued them. So anyone who disobeys federal law will be either prosecuted, sued, or say goodbye to your federal funding.
Prosecuted, sued, or say goodbye to your federal funding. Now, just last week, and we'll probably talk about it tomorrow. Mondays are pretty jam-packed with news. But again, we had the two judges arrested in 24 hours. One that was harboring an illegal alien, even gave this illegal alien his daughter's AR-15. There's him and his wife were arrested. Then you had the other one that was aiding and abetting, but they are looking at it as two obstruction charges when ICE was there to arrest this criminal illegal alien that had choked someone out, tried to suffocate them, beat two people to a bloody pulp. And ICE was going to detain them and get them ready to go home. We want our people home, right? We want our people home. And we're going to get into that. But that was the first of many to come, from what I'm understanding. I listened to a podcast with Glenn Beck that had Harmeet Dillon, and Harmeet Dillon is excellent. You've been a real fighter for a lot of people. And I just got that impression, like, give us time, people. We could start arresting people and not have all the I's dotted and T's crossed. But there's a lot of information that because people are saying, well, Trump had 4 years to get all this together. There's a lot of things that they couldn't get together in those 4 years because they were not in power and going through files and finding stuff. And Harmeet's like, give us some time. Give us some time. And I think that. Now, who's going to be around tomorrow in Warren, Michigan? That's where Trump will be. It says, join me tomorrow. Warren, Michigan at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's April 29th, 100-day rally in Michigan. Hopefully that goes off well. Again, tomorrow, we might be able to live stream this. I highly doubt it. Tomorrow, we will be at Turning Point USA at Fresno State. Again, Chloe will be here at Fresno State and working with Turning Point USA. She's going to be here. That is the one that we covered about a year and a half ago. We were out at California State Capitol. We had multiple journalists assaulted. I was assaulted. My camera equipment was stolen by Trans-Tifa. So I just want to go there tomorrow and document and see what happens in Fresno. And we will be there. We will be defending ourselves if need be from, especially if these police don't do nothing. I think it's going to be a little bit better in Fresno. Again, Fresno, for the most part, they do take the left side on things because they're worried. The left will sue you. The right won't. We'll go back to work the next day. It's a problem we need to take care of. But we will be out there, so make sure you stay tuned. That'll be noon. We might do a small live stream beforehand at home, but I don't know. Now, we played this for you earlier, and I think it's important to play again. Take a listen to this. Come on.
And But here's the lesson that I learned. When we emerge from this, and we will emerge from this, our democratic agenda must be bold and our ideas fearless. We must be willing to slay sacred cows and allow the courage of our actions to match the immediacy of our words. And we must deliver on that agenda for working families and for the real people who truly make America great. Listen, I understand the tendency to give in to despair right now, but despair is an indulgence that we cannot afford in the times upon which history turns. Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace.
Where have we heard this before? The summer of love. The summer of love. He's not the only one that'll be saying this. This was scripted. This was given to him. He is reading this. You're going to see this by more and more people throughout the week. They want chaos in the streets. They want police stations burning. They want stores looted. They want people scared to go out of their home because they're going to say Trump caused this, right? Well, they're only doing this because of Trump. It's Trump's fault, not the lunatics in the street that I'm hoping if we need to, patriots, we go defend our communities. We go defend our communities, whatever it takes, because they are calling on mass riots and mass, you know what that means. The same thing, burn, loot, murder, the same thing we've seen in the summer of love.
They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box.
So the reason why I'm playing this again, I talked about that in the first show, but I wanted to talk about this right here. Stephen Miller's comments regarding this. Take a listen.
Stephen, Illinois Governor Pritzker just called for mass protests and disruption, saying Republicans cannot know peace, while Trump's border crossings are down 95% and ICE is locking up 800 criminals. Is Pritzker inciting insurrection, and will DOJ take action?
Comments, if nothing else, clearly could be construed as inciting violence. So President Trump survived 2 assassination attempts against his life. Of course, there's been many more credible threats against President Trump and his family and associates. We've, of course, seen the spate of left-wing domestic terrorism all across this country. By the way, the destruction of property sits directly adjacent to attacks on humans and physical attacks. In other words, once you tolerate and once you allow for attacks on property, you're just a step away from people throwing Molotov cocktails into people's homes. And you've even seen some, I think one example of a formerly prominent Washington Post journalist who seemed to be celebrating the murder of a healthcare CEO, right? Health insurance CEO. And that's the point we've reached in this country, where people are engaging in rhetoric and behavior that puts the lives of public servants in danger, puts the lives of conservative Americans in danger. And so that's the first thing I would say. And then, of course, secondly, right, just this war that Democrat governors and mayors are waging against federal law enforcement. I mean, this is nullificationist behavior. This is successionist behavior. Where they're saying they don't recognize the supremacy of federal law enforcement in terms of protecting the lives and livelihoods of American citizens against a foreign invasion. We've never seen anything like it. And of course, the result of their conduct is that they're allowing illegal aliens to go free and rape and murder their own citizens. So I can imagine having a leader in a city or a state that would privilege the well-being of illegal alien murderers over their own citizens, but that's where we are right now.
Beautifully stated, beautifully stated. And we're going to see this ramp up. The only reason it will be other governors soon, it's going to be, you're going to have both congressmen and women and senators saying the same thing. They want a distraction. They want to blame Trump for crime and everything else. Now, check this out. I just wanted to show you, it's a little of our clown world coverage today. New York police are looking for a group of teens responsible for conducting the Kool-Aid Man Challenge. Now, you remember the Kool-Aid Man, how he used to run through the fences? I guess that's the normal thing now. That I guess they've went from eating Tide Pods to doing the Kool-Aid Man Challenge. Let me show you this video. This is
unison, resulting in thousands of dollars.
A group of people believed to be teenagers rammed their way through Ben Helwa's fence 2 weeks ago. Helwa believes a social media trend sparked the bold actions of the vandals.
We found lots of examples of knucklehead teens charging full speed into fences. These youngsters ran into the fence in unison, resulting in thousands of dollars in damages.
I was just in shock because, once again, like, these kids ran through the fence. They fled the scene. But, like, are the kids even okay?
Online trend called the Kool-Aid Man Challenge, inspired by a classic commercial from the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
The Kool-Aid Man breaking through walls, promoting the popular drink mix. Teens are imitating the sugary mascot for likes and views on social media, according to police. A group of people.
I want to say it first. Go back to eating Tide Pods. Go back to eating Tide Pods. Wow, man. You know, it's going to be funny. They're going to be doing this in neighborhoods, and I already know what's going to happen. There's going to be something waiting for them on the other side. Like there's going to be nails nailed in just one way. So when they hit that, there's going to be nails going through them. You wait and see. And then they'll probably charge the homeowner, right? I'm sure they'll charge the homeowner. But come on. With everything going on, like...
Miss
crazy.
Saying...
Go back to eating Tide Pod. How about this? I love Scott Jennings. He's mocking Chuck Schumer for threatening to send a strongly worded letter to Trump, because that's what Democrats are doing now. They're holding sit-ins outside the Capitol on Sundays. It's just hilarious. But listen to this.
You are going to send a strongly worded letter in today's political climate is roughly the of putting a slice of cheese on a frozen hamburger patty on a grill, which Chuck Schumer is famous for doing. You've totally missed.
I was wondering where you were going there. Okay.
You've completely and totally misunderstood the way political communications work, just the way you misunderstand the way grills work. That is not going to cut it for them. And by the way, Clyburn saying he had no idea Joe Biden was in decline and wasn't in a position to know whether he was in decline, his biggest supporter in Congress, Lord have mercy. The scandal deepens is what I took away from that.
Oh, man. How many remember good old Chucky Schumer, the post that he deleted on X, but not soon enough. It went viral. That was one of the most viral posts. Chuck Schumer, acting like he's just an average everyday American barbecuing, which Chuck Schumer doesn't barbecue. We know that. And, he gets his hamburgers delivered. It's filet mignon. And, he put a piece of cheese on a frozen hamburger and acted like he was barbecuing. I just love it. I just love it. Now, I told you, we've been talking, it won't be long, and we're starting to see it. We've seen it. Democrats have been on China's side on this tariff war. Well, now all their influencers are sharing these posts. Republicans against Trump, which are not Republicans. Sarah McGee for Texas, The Resistance, Spencer Hakamian. Check this out. These are all $89 import charge for $64 worth of Temu merchandise. It has begun. So this is their new, I guess you could say, ad campaign for all those people that buy directly from China. They don't even go into American stores to buy Chinese goods, so at least somebody in America is employed. They go straight to the app and cut out the American man. This is, if you look here, import charges, $89.46. The subtotal was $63. Import charges. Now, guess what? When they say they're buying in China because it's cheaper, it's not cheaper no more. Let's buy American made. It's just funny because, again, the Chinese Communist Party, their biggest ally is the Democrat Party. That's their biggest ally here in the United States. Just like when you think about everybody else, when it comes to Ukraine, their biggest ally, the Democrats here in the United States. Not no other countries. Democrats here in the United States wanted to bankrupt your country to ensure that they could keep a forever war going. But I just thought that was, again, more clown world stuff. And check this out. Iraqi citizen charged with illegally voting in the 2020 election. Akil Abdul Jamil is charged with illegal voting by an alien after registering and casting a ballot in Saratoga County, New York. We just thought it was interesting because usually you're not, they have a lot of people that have done this. And that's the press release from the United States Attorney's Office, Northern District of New York. It's just you don't hear about it. Democrats don't want this stuff to get out. And maybe under Trump, we're finally going to start prosecuting and making examples out of these people that illegally vote in our elections. More Tesla vandals. This time is in Arizona, and they couldn't even spell the word thief.
Dealership. We are waiting to get more information from officials out here at the scene obtained. It shows a burned out Cybertruck and the misspelled word thief spray painted on the wall of the dealership. We are waiting to get more information from officials out here at the scene. We have also reached out to the ATF and FBI and Mesa. Get a comment from this dealership too. Again, Mesa police telling us that this was a fire being investigated as a possible arson. The scene is still very active at this time.
I have a feeling they'll probably arrest somebody. With the FBI's hard work and everything else, they're still attacking Teslas. They're still, again, this is what the governor of Illinois wants, Pritzker. And then take a look at this. This is another one. This person, this is crazy. I'm going to let you listen.
Owners offering a cash reward of $2,000. A Yorkie owner says that her beloved 11-year-old dog was stolen from her car earlier this month in Rowland Heights. This happened April 19th at the Puente Hills Town Center. The owner says that she left her 7-pound Yorkshire Terrier named Lemon in her Tesla with dog mode activated while she briefly ran an errand. Security video shows the suspect approached the car 3 times before smashing the window, jumping into the car, and then snatching the dog. Lemon is described as wearing a silver flea collar with missing front teeth. The owner's offering a cash reward of $2,000 for the dog's safe return.
Now you have to wonder, was that because they were in a Tesla that happened? I'm going to lean to the side of yes. I don't know anybody else that wants to steal an 11-year-old dog with missing teeth. It's not that big on the market. This was probably an evil person, and hopefully they catch who did that. So we're going to talk a little bit about California now. You guys know that we did a bill that would give people charge. Democrats didn't want this. But if you're an adult and you pay for a prostitute who's 14 years old, that is rape. That is a lot of bad things I think we can all agree on. But when I think it was Senator Shannon Grove introduced 17 and younger, Democrats fought against that and said, no, 16 and 17-year-olds, it shouldn't be that kind of charge. That's a little steep. I want you to, because there's actually a Democrat who's actually pushing for this now. Scott Wiener, Groomer Wiener, he's not gonna fly for this. But I want you to listen to this news article from KCRA3.
Some new questions this morning about the future of a California bill that targets the consumers of the teen sex trafficking industry.
So it's an issue, of course, we've been following for a number of years now. KCRA3 Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala joining us now with details on what's going on.
Mike and Brandy, lawmakers face a key deadline this week, and it's unclear what's going on with this bill. Lawmakers from both parties this year have been trying to make it so that anyone who purchases a 16 or 17-year-old for sex would face a felony Right now, it could be either a misdemeanor or felony, depending on a few factors. The older teens were left out of a state law that went into effect this year to make it a felony to purchase a child 15 years old and younger for sex. So this year, Democratic Sacramento Assemblywoman Maggie Krell filed AB 379.
So this is actually a Democrat. I got it. Hands off. Give credit where credit is due, and listen to what they say right here. She's up on this information.
This year, Democratic Sacramento Assemblywoman Maggie Krell filed AB 379. She is an expert in this. She was a prosecutor for the California Department of Justice investigating these types of crimes before she got to the Assembly. Krell notes that traffickers, not the buyers, under state law right now face the harsher consequences when they traffic anyone under the age of 18. So she's been arguing the law should be consistent for the buyers, too. Her bill also reverses part of a state law that passed a few years ago that decriminalized loitering for prostitution. AB 379 would make it a misdemeanor to loiter with the intent to buy anyone for sex. That would include up to a $1,000 fine that would go to organizations that help survivors of sex trafficking. But the new questions this morning for this.
So before we go any farther, great bills. It's sad we even have to be talking about this. California went way far left, like, oh, well, if that 55-year-old man wants to have sex with a 15-year-old, he could pay her. She's making money, literally. And then it also, prostitution, they decriminalized it. And they also decriminalized the fact, the Johns going out and looking for these prostitutes. So they pretty much legalized prostitution. There's many areas that we travel to in this state where it's like, I'll get some video. I've shot video before. I think I've posted some of it on X. But you drive down these little side roads, and there's 25, 30 prostitutes out there. And some of them you can tell are pretty young. And just like an in-and-out drive-through, getting picked up, dropped off, with police driving by. Take a listen to the rest of this, because this is where it gets interesting.
Bill, again, that's attempting to go after the consumers of the teen sex trafficking industry. Again, the first deadline for bills that cost the state money is this upcoming Friday, May 2nd. The committee that is supposed to hear this bill, the Assembly Public Safety Committee, only has one hearing scheduled this week. Tomorrow, AB 379 is not on the agenda. Apparently, it's actually been taken off. We checked last night. This morning, it's still not on the docket. So we're still asking what's going on.
Yeah, so doesn't this bill, though, have a lot of Democratic support this year? I mean, ultimately, what could the holdup be?
Right. Yeah. This issue began as a Republican bill last year, and then Assemblymember Krell took it over, and Democrats really took over. But Assemblymember Krell said at a press conference last week with the bill supporters, they include not just Democratic lawmakers, but also Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis, plus the sheriff and chief of police from Sacramento and San Diego, for a bill to be held off until the last minute. Typically, that means there's a lot of debating that's happening behind closed doors among Democrats. So we've asked Krell's office if she's making any concessions. We're still waiting to hear back. I've also reached out to the chairman of the Assembly Public Safety Committee. He is new this year, Nick Scholes, just to get a sense. I've called his office twice. We're trying to figure out what's going on. Politico this morning is actually reporting that he is considering holding off on this bill and maybe having hearings in the fall to dissect this issue. Critics of that move note that, they've been dissecting this issue for the last couple of years.
So they're having some problems. The truth is they're having problems with some Democrats on board. So that bill needs to be heard by Friday, or that bill's just done for now. And it says she also gave an update. Assembly Public Safety Chairman Nick Schultz confirms AB 379 will be changed by committee tomorrow to exclude felony charges for those who buy 16 and 17-year-olds. So those Democrats that are working so hard, now they're going to exclude the fact that if that girl is 16, still a minor, and you're a 55-year-old man, that's not a felony. Why can't they deter these perverts and these groomers from doing this stuff? I mean, how disgusting is that? And he said he wants to host info hearings on the issues in the fall. This is kicking the can down the curb. Again, you have people like Scott Wiener and all those other groomers in the state of California that are okay with 16 and 17-year-olds, even younger, being purchased by old perverted men. And I just thought that was crazy because welcome to California. When you have a majority Democrat, this is what happens. And speaking of California, you can't make this up. You guys ready for this one? Today, this one is the one that does not surprise me, but surprises me. California Democrat State Senator Lola Smallwood Cuevas has introduced a bill, SB 560, a bill that would decriminalize welfare fraud below an amount of $25,000. I'm going to say that again. Lola has introduced a bill, SB 560, that would decriminalize welfare fraud below an amount of $25,000. It would also prohibit prosecutions for attempted welfare fraud and would prohibit someone from being charged with perjury if they are subject to prosecution for welfare fraud. I was going to show you who this person is, and so this is scheduled for a hearing next Monday, May 5th. And there it is. This bill would delete the provision that establishes criminal penalties for an attempt to commit welfare fraud. The bill would delete criminal penalties for welfare fraud, the total amount of aid obtained. This is just incredible, guys. We literally have Doge trying to get all this straightened out. So what she is doing is the opposite of Doge. She's saying, you know what? If you guys can commit welfare fraud, 25 grand is yours. Just do it up to 25 grand. This is the same thing that we just had to fight with Prop 36. How many remember that? That if you stole $800, $900 worth of stuff in California, people didn't call the police because it wasn't even a slap on the wrist. Then both Democrats and Republican in an overwhelming majority passed Prop 36, even though it's not being funded by the state correctly, because, again, these people are criminals. They're doing the same thing here. So when Doge is saying, hey, we got fraud over here, so let's just take this. Think about it. 1,000 people do $25,000 worth of fraud. She's okay with that. People elect these people, guys. Where is she out of? Let me look where she's out of. She represents a large chunk of Los Angeles County, including Mar Vista, West LA, Baldwin Hills, Ladera Heights, Century City, Playa Vista, and parts of downtown LA. Oh my gosh, guys. Literally decriminalizing welfare fraud. That won't encourage people to do it. Hell, if they're going to decriminalize it, why shouldn't I go lie and get, $800 a month for, how long is that? $25,000 for a while, right? A couple years? But in other news, this is kind of cool. Riley Gaines shared this. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp signs SB 1, the Riley Gaines Act, into law. It prevents men from playing in women's sports and entering women's locker rooms. Simple. It's sad we're even here, right? We're only here because of Democrats. But good for Georgia Governor Kemp. Now, I don't know if you guys seen this, but Spain and some other places have been bragging that April 22nd, so April 22nd, 6 days ago, they were bragging about hitting 100% renewable power. Today, the 28th, Spain had the nation's largest blackout in history. Planes were grounded. Mass transit was grounded. Street lights didn't work. The entire system went down. It says Spain's grid ran entirely on renewable energy for the first time on April 16th, with wind, solar, and hydro meeting all electricity demands during a weekday. 5 days later, solar set new records, generating 20,120 megawatts of instantaneous power, covering 78.6% of the demand. And then we got this. 6 days after celebrating 100% renewable power, Spain blames rare atmospheric phenomenon for nation's largest blackout in history. Take a listen to this right here. I'm going to pull something up. This was from Michael Schellenberger. This is over-reliance on renewable behind catastrophic blackouts in Spain. And it says, renewables don't risk blackouts, said the media, but they did and they do. The physics are simple. And now, as blackouts in Spain strand people in elevators, jam traffic, ground flights, it's clear that the too little inertia due to excess solar resulted in a system collapse. And here's a little video out there. Everybody outside their mass transit. Look at that, train's not going nowhere. People are outside. Flights were grounded. Those people are stuck in the middle of nowhere right now. And again, it's all on this. Let's go 100% renewable energy. We won't have a problem. I mean, they were literally just bragging about it 6 days ago. Take a listen to this guy. You know who this is?
Talk about the current issues. People are frustrated, people are angry, people are fearful about what's happening with the cuts in Washington, D.C., the tariffs.
That's what I hear too. Well, this is the foreigner that is who filed articles of impeachment against President Trump. This is why I've always strongly supported, if you want to file articles of impeachment or if you want to be in an elected office, you need to be a natural born American citizen. I know how racist that sounds. I know. But we see what happens when we get foreigners who literally hate this country into office. Now, when the first time I seen this guy, I thought, and this was weeks ago, or I've seen him before, but weeks ago, I looked at a picture of him and I'm like, this is an AI generated person. He just looks weird. Take a listen to what he says here.
Incident is part of a dangerous.
Can't even speak proper English.
Congressman Shri Thanedar, Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern. That's why today, I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7.
Now, if the average person was watching this, they would say, why is India trying to impeach Trump, right? Why is India? Why? He's not president of India.
Articles of impeachment. Article 1. Obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power. From denying due process to unlawful deportations, Trump defied court orders.
It's just another example of these people putting illegal aliens ahead of American citizens, folks. Take a listen to what their problems are.
Article 2. Taking away Congress's power of the purse. Trump dismantled agencies and froze funds without permission from Congress. Article 3. Abuse of trade powers and international aggression. He imposed damaging tariffs and threatened military invasions of our allies. Article 4, violation of First Amendment rights. He has retaliated against journalists, attorneys, and critics for exercising their right to free speech. Article 5, creation of an unlawful office establishing the so-called Department of Government Efficiency.
See, this guy is so far behind. So he never created a whole new office. He renamed and revamped one that Obama created. This is what's hilarious about this. These people don't even know what they're doing.
Doge, and giving Elon Musk unconstitutional power over our government and personal data. Article 6, bribery and corruption. He has dismissed criminal cases and solicited payments from foreign governments and coerced legal settlements for personal and political gain. Article 7, tyrannical overreach. Finally, and most importantly, he is attempting to consolidate unchecked power and erode the constitutional limits of the presidency. In this country, we have presidents, not kings. That's not just misconduct.
Thank you. Come again. And we got a funny meme coming along too
Impeachable
with
misconduct.
This guy. Whoever did it, just epic hero. But here he is at a town hall. And again, this just gives you an idea. These are his constituents of who he's for. He's not you, the American citizen. He voted against the Lake and Riley Act. And this guy calls him out. Take a listen.
You were one of 67 congressmen to not vote for the Lake and Riley Act and one of 10 senators. So 77 out of over 600. There must have been some not want to vote for that because you were such an outlier there. Can you please tell us why you didn't vote for the Lake and Riley Act?
We thought that the Trump administration would misuse that to harass people. We'll get you more information on that.
He wasn't president then. This was over a year ago. He voted against the Lake and Riley Act.
That was over a year ago. You voted against the Lake and Riley Act. He tried to use an excuse and saying, we'll get back to you on that. Again, open borders, these Marxists that hate this country.
Donald J. Trump. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
I love it. I love it.
Donald
I
J. Trump.
absolutely love
It's
that
time.
one. Told you there was something epic coming. It's just disgusting. It's just absolutely disgusting. Speaking of all those Democrats, I just wanted to play this. We talked about it probably at the beginning of last week or the week before. Leticia James doing everything she accused Donald Trump of. This is a little bit longer segment. I want to, hopefully you can get some more details out of this. This is the guy that exposed all that. Listen.
Campaign money and taxpayer money.
Big Tish James pulling out the big guns and hiring Hunter Biden's former lawyer, Abby Lowell, to defend the fraud allegation she's now facing. Talk about hypocrisy at It's the same thing she tried to go after President Trump, the charges she is now facing, that she inflated her wealth and more. Joining us now is the guy who uncovered it all, right? Forensic accountant Sam Antar. Sam, first off, you are a Democrat, right?
Yes.
You are not politically motivated in this whatsoever. What did you uncover? What made you start looking?
It was the beginning of a long process of me looking at New York City politicians and how they spend campaign money and taxpayer money, and also comparing their personal financial disclosures to New York State to the property records, the public property records.
What did you uncover?
Okay, with Tish James, there was a few things that were uncovered. First, each one of her financial disclosures to New York State was false. She omitted mortgages from her disclosures, and she even omitted a property from her disclosures. The second thing I learned is that she has mortgages listed on her financial disclosures that do not appear in the property records. It's strange. Third thing I learned is that on one property in Virginia, she has about $510,000 in mortgages, but she lists the valuation of only $100,000 to $150,000. Her words, not mine. Another thing that I learned was that Tish James has a property in Brooklyn that she lists as 4 units, but it's 5 units under the certificate of occupancy. Yesterday, I visited the property with another researcher, Joel Gilbert. We looked at the doorbells. There's 5 doorbells on the premises. I checked the Con Ed records. There's 5 electrical units for each of the things. You can't have a 5-unit building and then occupy 2 units and call it a 4-unit building.
And she also claimed to live in a home that was her primary residence, because if it is your primary residence, when you get a mortgage, then you get a lower interest rate. And then reporters went knocking on the door and found out they had never seen her there. So this woman she's been caught red-handed. Will Big Tish be changing into a big orange jumpsuit soon? What do you think?
Probably, and she deserves it because, when I saw the lawyer's response, Abby Lowell, I mean, I couldn't have dreamed of a more incompetent response that he made in reference to the DOJ, to the referral to the DOJ.
Yeah.
Okay. He's saying, well, it was always 4 units on her Brooklyn property. I don't care if it was 2 units, okay? The fact is that the certificate of occupancy says it's 5 units. And then he points to a document that reflects the false information, her HAMP application.
And now she wants us taxpayers to foot the bill for her lawyers. She's saying that this is all a political witch hunt. She was on New York One. Here's what she said. I want you to listen to this, Sam.
Okay.
Let me just say to all New Yorkers and to all Americans, the allegations are baseless. The allegations are nothing more than a revenge tour.
It seems to be based on some social media posts that I know were made by partisan political actors.
Partisan political actors?
Let her frame it whatever way she wants. She committed mortgage fraud. She violated New York state law and filed false disclosures from New York state. Trump didn't do it. I didn't do it. MAGA didn't do it. Partisan actors didn't do it. She did it.
So you're not a partisan political actor?
You know something? No. But even if I was, it doesn't change the fact that she committed mortgage fraud. She can say anything she wants about me.
She really can. You released more documents this week. What did you find?
Well, there's quite a few. First of all, there were some complaints made about the units in her building. And it seems like those complaints overlap the units that she claims to occupy. So is she really there? Or who's filing these complaints to the Department of Buildings over peeling paint? Or is there sublets, illegal sublets? I don't know. But these are the things that every time we dig, every time we think we reach the bottom of it, we find a new bottom.
It's like you're peeling an onion back. She claimed a Brooklyn apartment was a 4-unit property. We talked about that. Official records say it's a 5-unit. She enabled her to then save tens of thousands of dollars. Right. So at the end of the day, this is all about her saving money, making money.
Exactly. Every single financial disclosure that contained false information, she benefited from financially.
Minute left. Are you ever worried? I mean, you're going after Big Tish. She's the attorney general. She's a top lawyer.
I had the FBI up my rear end during the crazy 80 days for 10 years, and they taught me a good lesson. I'm not afraid of her or anybody else.
President Trump, he put out the tweet of your face. You're not even MAGA. What did you think about that? That's pretty cool. You have caught the attention of the president of the United States here.
Good. But irrespective of catching the attention of the president of the United States, she is guilty. She committed mortgage fraud.
I'm just going to say it, and I learned this from Democrats. Nobody is above the law, folks.
She filed false
disclosure. I cannot wait to see her ass in handcuffs. What goes around comes around, folks. I'm sorry. Everything she accused Donald Trump of doing, she's done. Even in the state, filing false documents in the state of New York. There's so much stuff on this one, and it's crazy. How about this one? You know, we should impeach Donald Trump for this. Take a look at this one.
Salvador.
Documented immigrant pleaded guilty to sexual battery after assaulting a woman at Fernando's in Madison. Madison County DA Bubba Bramlett says Jose Rijo Mejia Cubias assaulted a woman while she was unconscious on the floor of the restaurant in January. Bramlett reports that the man entered the U.S. illegally from El Salvador. He is facing 25 years in prison.
And we can't send them back to El Salvador because our tax dollars will be spent on senators and congressmen and women to go over there and have margaritas with this guy. Crazy. What else we got? Let's take a look at this one. This is insane. We covered this earlier. If you guys weren't at the last show, the White House. So on, I think it's the west side of the White House. Maybe it's the east side. They have all these canopies set up, these little booths. It's for mainstream media. That's where they go out there. That's where they film their shots. That's where they give their updates. He lined the whole things, the Trump team did, of illegal aliens who were arrested and what they were arrested for: child rape, homicide, all this stuff. And we played earlier. If you missed that, go watch the first one. But how triggered MSNBC was, and I want you to listen to this one. This is just crazy. The best. Again, MSNBC wouldn't go to bat for you or me or anybody else because we're not illegal. But listen to this.
We don't know if they've had due process. We don't know if, in fact, these individuals do have a rap sheet. So I would encourage those individuals that have that as a backshot to blur those people out. The job of journalism is to ensure that we are presenting the facts. The press right now, we are absolutely under attack. Our job is always to have our true north, to make sure that we're presenting balanced news and making sure that we are not putting folks that are potentially in danger, and having that representation of those pictures in the background. We can't allow that to basically for us to carry the water of potentially innocent people. So I would encourage, I recognize live shots are tough, but I would encourage folks to actually make sure that those shots are blurred to the best of your abilities. We don't know if they've had due process. We don't know.
Journalism, especially on MSNBC, they only want to cover the facts, guys. Russia. There's the Hunter Biden laptop is Russian propaganda. That's all they want to do. I mean, listen to how far they go and how triggered she was that they put those up along the background. And it's great. And they have started, I've seen some other videos on some of their social media. They have started blurring out the signs now behind their reporters. It's just absolutely great. I think it calls them to the carpet. It shows the American people the hypocrisy. I mean, some of these people are convicted. The murderer of a lot of young women that have been convicted in the United States, they want to blur that shot out. How about this one? Another one. No, that was a different one. We already covered that one. Exclusive. Check this out. We've been sharing it. I think we covered it a little bit. Look at CBS News. The second suspect arrested for stealing Kristi Noem's bag was in the country illegally. So we covered this last week. Kristi Noem was out to dinner in D.C. Her bag with money, all her ID for the Department of Homeland Security, everything was in there. Well, they've now arrested two people, both illegal aliens, but I don't know how this could be possible, guys, because I listen to Democrats on all the time. Well, people in the country illegally commit less crimes. This is what they say, dude. Like, are you absolutely kidding me? And it's just absolutely sad that we're going through this. But let me pull up this one here. Where'd it go? Did I move it? No. Maybe I did. Exclusive, the second illegal alien accused in DHS Secretary Kristi Noem's purse snatching is identified as a Chilean national, Christian Rodrigo Montesino Senzana, who was released into U.S. early in January 2021, despite being handed a notice of expedited removal thanks to COVID lawsuit that forced the feds to release certain migrants with comorbidities. Remember when Democrats were, you got to stay inside, but these illegals coming over, we were on the border for this. Remember that? Literally, there was a lawsuit that Democrats waged so that they could get these migrants with comorbidities released. He then later failed to appear for his ICE check-ins and has never been seen again. He was busted in Miami Sunday as an alleged accomplice in the robbery and is believed to be part of a larger theft ring. Now, we've covered this before from multiple countries. The Chilean theft ring, where they come here and that's what they do. They're the ones, and not necessarily the Chilean ones, but we've seen we had what was it? The Kansas City Chiefs had multiple players robbed before, I think it's before the Super Bowl, like a week when they knew they would be gone, went into their homes and robbed them. They do high-end crime. They're not worried about anything because, once again, they're not here legally. They're not making an honest living. But again, both of the suspects that stole our Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem's purse, illegal aliens, guys. You can't make this up. Now check this out. Operation Tidal Wave just makes me want to go to the ocean, guys, and just catch one of those waves. Take
Street
a
gang
listen.
members and a Russian with a red notice for manslaughter. We are in the beginning stages of carrying out the largest deportation campaign in American history. Over this, and it was announced that through Operation Tidal Wave, a joint effort between ICE Miami and Florida law enforcement agencies, nearly 800 illegal aliens were arrested during the first 4 days alone. Among those arrested were a Colombian murderer, alleged MS-13 and 18th Street gang members, and a Russian with a red notice for manslaughter. And on the other side of the country, in the early Sunday morning hours, DOJ and DHS together launched a joint raid of an illegal alien underground nightclub used by Tren de Aragua in Colorado Springs, Colorado. DHS took more than 100 illegal aliens into custody, and many drugs and weapons were also seized. Operation Tidal Wave is a preview of what is to come around this country. Large-scale operations that employ our state and local enforcement partners to get criminal illegal aliens off our streets.
Gotta love Operation Tidal Wave. Let me show you some pictures of that. And again, shout out to First Amendment Media. He gifted a Oreo Express subscription on Rumble. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Take a look at this. So 780 illegal aliens arrested in Florida. Photo number 1, arrested a Colombian national, Jose Sanchez Reyes. He entered the U.S. as a getaway after being convicted of homicide in Colombia. He was sentenced to 8 years, 8 months in prison. So he's going to be held in ICE custody pending removal. Photo number 2, and I'll get to the photos here in a minute. Guatemalan national Rafael Juarez Cabrera, MS-13 gang member. He was removed 3 times and already convicted of illegal entry. Again, this is who Democrats are fighting for. He is now being held pending removal. Arrested a Russian national, Sava Kishkovsky. DHS says he has an Interpol red notice out of Russia for vehicular manslaughter. So again, he killed somebody in Russia and fled here. And then, let's see, an Honduran national, Aaron Isaac Morazan Izaguirre. DHS says he has an active and known or suspected terrorist record as a member of the 18th Street gang. He's a 2-time re-entry. So take a look at some of these guys. This is just good news. Look at these folks. There's your Russian buddy. He's going to Russia and going to be in prison. Again, what we've seen in Colorado, what we've seen in Florida, they are stepping up enforcements. And it's just great news for the American citizens that want to make this country safer by far. Here's a little news article on it just to give you
ICE
this.
Miami and Florida law enforcement arrested
A massive immigration enforcement crackdown has led to hundreds of arrests in Florida in a matter of days. Immigration and Customs Enforcement posted on X that ICE Miami and Florida law enforcement arrested nearly 800 undocumented migrants in the first 4 days of their Operation Tidal Wave this week. In response, Governor Ron DeSantis posted that, quote, Florida is leading the nation in active cooperation with the Trump administration for immigration enforcement and deportation operations. A massive immigration enforcement crackdown has led to hundreds of...
A promise is made, promise is kept. And again, guys, we are 100% viewer funded. We're going to have a great live stream for you tomorrow at Fresno State. There's a Turning Point USA event that's expected to have Trans Tifa show up. So we will be out there live, bringing that live to you. And we thank you for your support. We thank you for your liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't hit this like button, please hit that like button. As well, if you want to donate and help us with our funds for everything, the bills, travel, everything, you can go to Venmo at Oreo Josh, Cash App, $ Oreo Army. We also have givesendgo.com/Oreo 2024. And we have a Zelle link. If you do mobile transfers on your banking app, you can go to theoreoexpress.com. Head over there, guys. There is a button that says donate now. Click it. It'll have all our links on there. Let me see if we're missing anything that was breaking, because I don't know if I'll have a chance to go live later. If something does break, it depends. I'm supposed to go to the Clovis City Council meeting tonight, which I think I'm still feeling under the weather. I tried to kick it to the curb going to the gym and sweating off a little, but man, it's just in my nose, in my head. Let's see. Oh, it's Workers' Memorial Day. Let's see. Nancy Pelosi. As we return to D.C., Republicans are doubling down on plans to take away food from children, seniors, and veterans. That's what they're doing, guys. Just believe Nancy Pelosi. Let's see. See if anything else broke. Looks like just a bunch of Democrats parodying the same talking points. Here's some more memes, guys. This is absolutely epic. I love it. I love it. That's the person wanting to impeach Donald Trump. Again, if you want to, that person was not born in this country. You should not hold elected office unless you are a citizen of this country that was born here. Let's see. More DEI stuff. Don't look like there's been anything really big happen since we've been live. So we're going to head out, guys. Want to say thank you all for tuning in and joining us. We appreciate your support. Once again, we did get some help over here. KLM79 said swear jar in advance. Thank you, KLM79. And I still got like 2 hours of live streaming to do on premium. So maybe you will get a fun after dark live stream from us tonight when we get home from the city council meeting, if I'm feeling up to it. Last night I was feeling crappy too. I knew I was getting something. I even took Tylenol PM and it didn't even help me go to sleep. So once again, thank you guys so much. Go check out our website, theoreoexpress.com. It has all our donation links, and we will see you guys for sure tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be before the event at Fresno State. It might be, depending on what time Rachel gets home from work in the morning. If she gets home early enough, I'll do a live. If not, then we'll just go straight out there and we'll bring you the live coverage out there. So stay tuned. Want to say thank you once again for tuning in, and we will see you soon. God bless.